Here with Jenny Jones, we were just talking about ticket offices. So this is one of the things, right? This is the mentality. This is about everything we've been talking about: the power of the media, about people's perceptions, electing a million people voting for a mayor. So they want to shut every single ticket office in London, and the people of London are complaining that the workers have gone on strike, calling them communists because they want to shut every.
No, it's nuts. And they keep saying, oh, it's only a tiny percentage of people that still use ticket offices and that sort of thing. It's still something like 25,000 people every day. It is nuts.
They shut 2 yesterday, didn't they? South Wimbledon and Queensway.
And it's going to carry on. But that's a decision of the mayor. I mean, as I said, Ken would have done it as well. Hopefully he'd have done it better in that he'd have made sure there was more staff on hand or whatever.
I've got a question here from someone. Does Jenny think education should be a priority in the election debate?
I do. I mean, only because education is what can help us all to get jobs, enjoy better lives, you know. Yeah,
What will the Greens contribute then?
Well, we, for example, think that students, university students should not have to pay fees, that this is something that should be a right. I mean, I had free education. I presume you did as well.
No, I didn't. I had to pay for mine. I'm still £20,000 in debt.
Oh, right. Oh, well, I had a debt as well, but I assumed I'd never have to pay it. But obviously, as soon as I got elected, I did.
Yeah, they take a little bit every year. I mean, one of the things about it, it doesn't look like it's ever going to go down soon. It's something that's hanging over you. But at the same time, they took £30 billion last year, or close on £29 billion in universities. 10 billion came from EU and UK students. Where's the other 20 billion come from? Overseas. So this is going back to the UKIP. This is like a lot of people that are coming to the UK are coming for their education, coming to universities. We have one of the best universities, but it's being collapsed.
I think our record in education is superb, and I think we're always going to attract foreign students. But I personally, I mean, one of the reasons that I was able to, get jobs in my life and so on was because of my education that I had for free. And I think that this is something we should do. We should actually care about our young people, and also not think of education as only passing exams. You know, there's other things, creative stuff that we probably don't encourage enough.
Yeah, but we got a government, we got Lord Nash, we got Labour brought in the academies, we got the academisation of it. They're giving away our children's education.
I agree completely. I mean, I loathe the whole academy system. I don't like religious schools either. I think that's a mistake. That the more we isolate particular groups, I think the harder it is for them to integrate properly.
So cycling, we just went past like a little cycling repair thing. You're a cyclist. Yeah. Boris Johnson said the number of collisions have reduced in the last 10 years.
Well, that's possibly true. I mean, as you get more cyclists, you expect collisions to go up, because that's it's bound to happen. And I think the number of deaths has reduced, but actually the number of injuries is still a matter for huge concern. We seem to, for example, there was a man run over in Oxford Street just recently, Michael Mason, and he had all his lights functioning and so on. It was a brightly lit Oxford Street. The woman who was driving the car had all her lights, and it looks as if she just drove straight over him. And yet the police have done nothing about it. They say they can't. Now, that's the sort of attitude that any mayor of London should actually go to the police and say, this is ridiculous. We want more people to cycle. This is a really bad precedent not to charge anybody for a death. There's two things that stop people cycling. First of all, they feel the roads are dangerous. And secondly, they're worried about the security of their bikes. And on both of those things, I'm afraid the police are failing. We've got no idea how many bikes are stolen, and quite honestly, that although the number of deaths has gone down, some of that is actually attributable to the NHS just being better at saving people. It's
so what about fracking then? The Labour Party, there was one of the MPs came out and he said yesterday to, "Are you a constituent?" And I'll tell you why Labour supports shale gas fracking. So he actually admitted yesterday that
they are supporting. we had a debate in the House of Lords on this, and I was the only person to speak against fracking. And the Tories are obviously gung-ho for it. Labour's view is, well, we'll have regulation. Regulation is fine. And any idiot knows that companies, private companies, just run roughshod over
I went down to
regulation.
Balcombe, the trucks and the lorries and the the people don't realise what actually goes on.
But you know that Balcombe now is producing its own electricity.
Yeah.
Sustainable electricity.
How's it producing it?
It's got
solar,
and I think they've got some wind as well. The fact is, you can do it differently, and it's fantastic that it's Balcombe where the whole argument was. Fracking would be a disaster, and all the other parties are for it. It's that only the Green Party is against it, and I think Plaid Cymru.
So, I watched this programme, The Super Rich and Us, and during it somebody said, I understand why working class people haven't got a chance. How can we stop the crony capitalism? How can we have a more social justice, more equality in our society?
God. Well, as I said, by paying people properly, and also by not letting the rich off paying their tax. It is absolutely ludicrous that some companies here, is it Amazon?
So we've got absolutely, so what you just said there means that we've got absolutely no chance whatsoever.
It's really difficult to turn these things around, especially when they're so embedded, and you have to inculcate a completely different way of looking at things. For example, the way the government at the moment, it supports private companies by allowing people to pay less than a living wage, and which means that we, the taxpayer, have to top it all up with benefits and so on. It means that not only are we paying for roads and education and the police and the health service that all support the workers in society and support private companies, but then we pay again, we pay benefits. This is absolutely
have we got a chance though? Because it seems like the big two parties have a stranglehold. There was a chance in Scotland. Scotland was going to get its independence. You know, the Greens done really well in Scotland. They're really, I think the Green Party was for independent Scotland.
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly. We wanted the people
But
of
you're
Scotland
too
to
little. That's the general accusation. Why vote Green? Because you're too little. You can't make a difference.
Yeah, but for example, when Ken was mayor, I'm sorry to keep talking about Ken, but he's a great guy. When he was mayor, we actually were able to influence things because Ken knew where he wanted to go, and if we could supply a way of getting him there, i.e. bums off seats on the tube and buses onto bikes, out of their cars and so on, then he'd support it. So he actually supported cycling even though he doesn't cycle himself. So Greens can make a difference if we're working with people who are more or less in tune. My big fear is we get a Labour government, which is obviously marginally better than Tory government, and actually they don't really get the green agenda, and so we can't work with them. We've got stacks of good ideas.
What about the rainbow? Is it SNP and Green and Plaid Cymru and Labour?
That could work, couldn't it?
I don't know. I think holding them to account, but in the end, the front bench, the people that they know that Labour's crap. It really is crap. The front bench of Labour's got great MPs at the back. Your John McDonnells and your Jeremy Corbyns. Yeah. They've got really good. Even
Tom
Chris
Watson.
Williamson. But like Chris Williams, Labour's a broad church. They got war criminals like Tony Blair and Mandelson and Alistair Campbell on one side. And all the Blairites and.
Well, we have to hope that.
But it's a mess, isn't it? British politics is on its arse, Jenny. It's on its absolute arse.
Or you could say it's a really exciting time
it's
to
not.
be involved.
Where's our Syriza? Where's our Podemos?
Well, I suppose to have a political party like that, you need a real crisis. And so far, we haven't got that sort of crisis. And I'm an optimistic person, and I actually think a working arrangement, I mean not a coalition, but a working arrangement with Labour, the SNP, and however many MPs the Greens have, let's hope there's more than just one next time, I think it could work,
That whole Westminster thing, it's just a club up there, isn't it? Like we were saying before, it's just, that's what they do in there. It's very difficult to get in. If all those people that we were saying are any good MPs, they get sent to the back. If you don't take the party line, you go in the book, you're not going to any banquets. That's for sure. You're not going to get any jobs. You're not going to get on.
But you see, even I think that there are good people in government, you know. I mean, I actually quite like Theresa May, because although I don't agree with a lot of what she says, she's been really concerned about the stuff on surveillance. She has stopped water cannons being put onto the streets of London, for example.
It's been shocking on the child sexual abuse inquiry, though.
Well, that has not been very good. But then look at what she's done with the police. I mean, she has really gone for the police. She went for ACPO, the Association of Chief Police Officers.
But there's real concerns with people about the establishment connected with pedophile rings.
Yeah, of course.
And she turns around and she's like, this chair, that chair. I mean, she's probably not even going to be in, because at the end of it, the real thing is MPs are MPs, and the thing about Westminster, the bubble, is the civil servants, the people, the MI5, the MI6, the one that's got you on the terrorist watch. You know, they're the ones that got the information. They're the ones that hide the secrets, you know.
It's absolutely true, and you can look at all the bad things that have happened, like, for example, the child abuse stuff.
Still happening.
Of course, but at the same time, there are some things Theresa May, for example, has done that are really good. And overall, you have to say, are things moving in the right direction or not? Now, I would say, like you, they're not moving in the right direction, but they could be. But you can't just condemn everything out of hand.
Yeah, but Theresa May would have voted for the privatisation of the NHS. She would have voted for the welfare reform bill. She would have voted for every sort of like data retention. I mean, you can't say any of these people are really good.
Well,
they're shocking individuals. She would have voted for the abolishment of 18,000 severely disabled people trying to live within the community, begging for a bloody independent living fund, taking that away from them. I'm not saying
that I agree with her on any of those things. I absolutely don't. And if I'd been an MP, I would have voted against all that. Yeah. I mean, one of the delights for me in the House of Lords is that I can actually vote against government legislation. That's such a kick for me. And not only vote, of course, but to speak against it. You know, like the Snoopers Charter that came up last week and yesterday, and being able to speak against that. And well, we didn't vote on it, but that's a really big kick,
and it's a big privilege as well, and you have to use it to the best of your ability. But you're kind of like, you're a voice in the wilderness, or like there's very few people. And...
Yeah, but the first time we had a debate on fracking, for example, I was the only person there who spoke against it. On the second occasion, there were 3 of us who spoke against it. I mean, these things, you know.
3 out of how many? 900.
Well, first of all, it's 850. No, but in the debate, there were probably only a couple of dozen people. Okay. I suppose what you're doing is, you are looking at all the terrible things, and I'm looking at the terrible things. I'm trying to look at the good things as well.
I'm the Taxi Driver. This, my friends, has been the incredible Jenny Jones.